So we're in the middle of a jobs crisis, in the middle of the biggest education crisis ever. What are we doing about it? And what does this have to do with Elon Musk just giving $5 million to Khan Academy? If you've been watching my videos and you ever wondered, what does Roger do for his day job? I'm about to show you a Bloomburg interview I just did where we talk exactly about this. It started with Richard Branson 7 years ago when I was on Necker Island, and we talked about what could be the models that could really help education. At the time, I was the chairman of the Green School in Bali, where students are learning to be global citizens to help the planet. All my kids went to that school, and we put together a graduation video which included Al Gore sharing his message to the students. It included Richard Branson.
Never been more jealous of any kids in my life.
And it also had a message from Jane Goodall. All of this inspiring the kids to what was possible in life. And just like Elon Musk School at Astra, Green School was focused at the future. Imagine if every student had the chance to be hearing from inspiring people from around the world, where everyone could be learning by doing, everyone could be learning through discovery. And at the time we thought the education system has to change one day because there's going to be a time when the jobs will disappear and when the schools will no longer work the way they're working today. Little did we know that that was going to be accelerated as a result of what's happened in 2020. So after that meeting with Richard Branson, him coming out to the Green School, and then seeing what Elon Musk is doing with Ad Astra, I set up Genius Group, and I want to share with you now this interview on Bloomburg, which I did with Redchip. And if you're interested in what I do in my day job, along with what is going to happen with the entrepreneur revolution and the education revolution, please do have a watch. And then afterwards, I'm going to share with you exactly what Richard Branson and Elon Musk has to say about the problem in their own words straight after this interview.
Roger, thanks for being with us today. You've built the world's largest entrepreneur education business. Talk to us about the history of the company and your background.
Yeah, well, I went to Cambridge University in England, where I studied architecture. And it was actually while I was there in Cambridge, I started my first business, which was a publishing business. And one thing led to another, and I became an entrepreneur, started businesses, went out to Asia, to Singapore. And it was actually there that I, in the very early days, this was back in the 1990s when the internet was starting, I realized that there wasn't a lot of education or even mentoring for those that wanted to be entrepreneurial. So I started my own education. We came up with some systems that entrepreneurs could use. And that really led to what today is Genius Group, where we now have 1.4 million entrepreneurs around the world who are using our education system to learn how they can really grow from startup all the way to large successful businesses.
Give us an overview of your product offering and your platform.
Well, one of the biggest things that we noticed was that the traditional education system, already everyone's really talking about how wouldn't it be good if we actually had some extra entrepreneurial skills or financial literacy. And so what we decided to do with Genius Group was to not just create an edtech platform that enables anyone, let's say an adult who's looking to reskill themselves, especially with the crisis times we have right now, and say, well, how do I start a business and create a job instead of get a job? But frankly, even students at school, how can we give them the right tools to grow their business as well? So what we've done is we've built a full curriculum from early learning all the way through university degree and beyond out to adult learning and corporate training, where what we do is we provide all the different tools and curriculum that enable someone to go all the way through to high school diploma, to bachelor's degree, and then into corporate training, using these tools to be able to go out there and be more entrepreneurial.
How's the platform, and you touched on it just a little bit, but how is it different from traditional education systems?
Well, one of the biggest differences, and in fact, there's a report which is from the World Economic Forum, which just came out actually just before the crisis started, and it's where they're talking about something called Education 4.0, where they say that the big skills that we actually need to be teaching today are things like technology skills, things like more interpersonal or leadership skills, really the kind of skills that we're going to need as we're seeing this pretty huge technological unemployment, like as AI, as robotics start taking over more and more jobs. And we've seen this massively clearly this year, where you don't have the same jobs you had before. Then how do you actually create an education system that provides for all that as well? So what we've done is we've built an education system that enables that to happen. We work together with schools, with colleges, but we also have our own campuses. We have resorts in places like Bali or on safari in South Africa, which enable entrepreneurs to actually go and run through retreats and accelerators, the programs that we run online. And I'll say another thing, which is that with EdTech and the way EdTech is growing, you've got large companies like Coursera or like edX who have partnered up with universities to be able to provide degree level programs or certifications on their platforms. But in most cases, they're partnering with other institutions rather than creating their own content. What we see is that there is a real gap for those who want to be learning more specific entrepreneurial skills, where we develop our own curriculum rather than simply working together with other institutions that are delivering their curriculum through us.
Roger, you successfully pivoted your business model to go digital during the coronavirus pandemic. How has this pivot impacted your business?
Well, one of the big parts of what we do is we combine high tech and high touch together. So we have got our EdTech platform, which is all online, and it's where all of our students are able to access our micro schools and our micro degrees that we run online. But then we also have got our teachers, our mentors around the world. So we have several thousand locally based trainers at all different levels who are really our faculty, and they're the ones that are teaching on the ground. They clearly have not been able to do this in person. And similarly, we have got all of our campuses, we have our resorts and our cafes and our co-working spaces, which also we haven't been able to open in many countries around the world, at least for several months. And so as a result of that, what we've done is all of those different offline parts of our business we have maintained. We've really made sure during this time that we haven't laid anyone off, that we've ensured that everyone is still part of the team. But then we've really doubled down on the online side. And as I'm sure you know, the entire online side has been growing pretty dramatically. And so as a result, we've actually been attracting more students rather than less through these times.
Makes perfect sense. Now, you recently published an article called "The Rise of Robotics in the Gig Economy Means Entrepreneurship Must Be on the Curriculum." What is the thesis behind this article?
Even before the crisis started, the predictions already was that we'd be getting over 50% of the US population would be in some kind of a second job or a freelancer job. So effectively the gig economy. And so, we're already over a third of the entire population that's doing that. And clearly, as we've had this lockdown and with the crisis, we've had many, many more people that have figured out there's things that they can or should be doing to actually create new incomes. So everyone's really becoming more entrepreneurial already. However, the actual skill sets that you need to be able to do that are really almost the opposite of what it takes to really achieve success in academia. Right? With academia, it's all about making sure you're passing the exam as opposed to discovering your way. You're making sure that you're not cheating by looking at what anyone else is doing, whereas we all know entrepreneurs actually all learn through market research and connecting with each other. And so it's a very, very different skill set that you require, but it is one that's learned. It's one that you can teach. And so one of the most important things is, given that we have got so many people that are going to have to, as I say, create a job as opposed to get a job, the skill sets to do that are very different. There's another part, which is with traditional education, we all know the massive issue with student debt. And that's a real challenge, because it means that if someone cannot get a job after they leave college, well, then what are they going to do? They still have to pay back the debt. Most entrepreneurs, they are learning as they're going, and they're actually getting paid as they're going as well, which means they're actually earning as they're going through their learning journey. And the learning journey doesn't stop. It goes on forever. So that's why for us, it's very, very important that those who become part of our community, that they're seeing their learning as an ongoing journey that continues until the point where they themselves become the mentor.
Who are some of your partners, and what role do they play in your business?
So one of our most important partners are our faculty. So every single person who comes on board and actually supports us, rather than us hiring teachers and then looking for the students to fill their classes, we have got teachers all over the world that are looking for these entrepreneurial skills or being able to teach more around 21st century leadership skills, how to build teams, and then how to be resourceful and make an impact in the world as well. And so they find us, they join our platform. When they do that, they can actually create their own curriculum, their own degrees on our platform as well. And then all the best rises to the top, because we have a rating system, just like TripAdvisor for finding a hotel or finding a flight to take. You're actually finding the very, very best people that others already are rating high as well. And so trust, brings the best to the top, which means our curriculum is always changing, because the best curriculum is always showing up at the top as well. So our partners, who are our faculty, our teachers, they are now, as I mentioned, we have several thousand of them. They're growing by several hundred every single week. And we're having over 1,000 new students joining us every day. So there's this really big momentum that's taking place, where I think there's a real need in the market for this right now. And then we have a second type of partner, who are the schools, the colleges. We're part of our strategy is acquisition. So we are acquiring some schools, and even at the moment where we're acquiring a university, which gives us the accreditations to enable someone to see us as not being something outside of the system, but actually an alternative to a traditional school system.
And that leads me to my next question. Explain your business model. How do you make money?
So we have a combination of a traditional edtech model where we're taking a percentage of all of the courses that are being delivered on our platform. Not dissimilar to Amazon, where if you actually are on that platform, you have a big choice of things that you can buy, and Amazon will take a percentage of that. We do very similar, but we're doing it now with courses and with resources that enable everyone to connect with each other on our platform. So that's one way that we actually generate income. And then the second way is that we have our full curriculum ourselves, that everyone who comes on board and actually joins that curriculum, then that's 100% net, also part of our business as well. And because we also have got our actual campuses, our actual locations, they all generate income almost the opposite of the way that, let's say, for example, a co-working company like WeWork used to generate their income, where the way that they would do it is actually charge for the desk space and then give the beer for free, right? In our case, we actually give people membership, which is at a very low cost, but then we have the most incredible food, drink, and we actually generate money from all of the consumption of the entrepreneurs when they're on our premises.
Okay. In one of your articles, you quote Elon Musk saying that, quote, AI will overtake humans in less than 5 years. How are you preparing your business for this transformation?
There is this concept called the Singularity that I'm sure many of your viewers know about, which is the point at which artificial intelligence becomes more powerful than the human brain. And that was predicted by people like Ray Kurzweil, who is one of the chief scientists at Google, to be happening by 2040. That has been coming forward faster and faster, to the point where just a few months ago, Elon Musk said that we're going to have superhuman AI by 2025, which is only 5 years away. And when that takes place, I'm sure we're going to start seeing CEOs that are AIs, when we actually get to a point where we have the ability to have that level of intelligence, or more importantly, that level of being able to analyze data, find the right patterns, and being able to actually grow your business, is going to be able to grow massively. We're already using AI. So for example, our entire platform that we've designed actually sits on the Salesforce CRM system. Salesforce has created their own AI called Einstein, which already is super smart at being predictive at what's the next thing someone might want to do. We do the same thing with our AI, where we actually have a personalized pathway where, because we know so much about each of our students, rather than giving them 1,000 courses to choose from, we're saying, hey, here's the next course that you should do. And our AI is called Genie, which is all part of GeniusU, where everyone effectively, we believe, should have a genie in their pocket, which is always able to connect not just them to the best learning, but also to the best mentor that they can be learning from.
One of the companies under your umbrella is called the Entrepreneurs Institute. What's the purpose of that institute?
So Entrepreneurs Institute is one of the companies that we acquired, and it is a company that already has a whole series of different assessment programs that enable an entrepreneur to be able to find very quickly what is the team they need to have and what is the strength that they themselves should be focused at. So one of the biggest challenges is that there is a myth that all entrepreneurs are risk takers, that everyone who starts a business needs to have a certain DNA that they're born with. So one of the tools that I helped to develop within Entrepreneurs Institute, which is called Wealth Dynamics or Talent Dynamics, shows that there are 8 different personality types. Someone like Redchip Branson may be a risk taker, but he's very different from someone like a Warren Buffett, who may be more risk adverse and goes through much more analytics before he makes decisions. And there's a total of 8 different entrepreneurial paths that you can take. But when you know which one you are, it doesn't just allow you to follow your path, it also allows you to be able to find the right team to complement you as well. So we have got assessments in Entrepreneurs Institute for talents, also for passions. We have one with a passion test, also for purpose. That's actually designed together with United Nations and the 17 global goals. And so when you have anybody, even like a 16-year-old kid who actually goes through and gets self-awareness on what is it they're passionate about, what their purpose really is, and what is the talents that they have, then they can actually have a personalized path towards how to make the most of those talents. So we really talk about student-centered learning, where we really know who the student is, and we use AI to then take them to where they want to be. versus whatever habits they might have had in the past. So that really is about predictive learning, and that's one of the companies within our group.
What are some of the key milestones you hope to achieve over the next 6 to 12 months?
One of the big things really is actually to be taking more of our efforts and focusing it on the US, in fact, because one of the things that have happened just accidentally because we started in Singapore is we grew, first of all, through Asia and then to Africa and then to Europe. So we almost kind of went backwards to a point where before we'd even hit, or at around about time we hit about 1 million students, we actually had not that many in the US. Since then, the US has discovered us, and because most of what we do is through word of mouth, we have a very, very low cost of acquisition for students, simply because everyone who hears about this then actually gets other students involved as well. And so as a result, now there's many people in the US that are actually using our programs, but we're going one step further, where we're actually doing acquisitions on some well-known colleges, camps, universities in the US, where then those who are in the US can actually come and visit us and be part of the programs we're going to be running on the ground there.
Roger, I want to talk more about your background. You're actually a best-selling author. So talk to us a little more about your background, some of the books that you've written. You're well known in Asia and Singapore. Talk to us about not only yourself, but your management team, your board of directors.
So I had the good fortune when my children were younger to be able to decide where it was that I really wanted them to be brought up. And it was actually Bali that we chose. So Bali, Indonesia is a beautiful island. It's just out of Singapore. So we started, this was in the days, early 2000s, just before the internet had become really good enough in a place like Bali for you to be able to remotely work. But we actually moved out to Bali. And from there, the business grew. And I thought, okay, you know what? Like it's very rare for there to be someone in Bali that becomes a best-selling author on the New York Times bestsellers list. So I got connected to some of the best-selling authors in the US. They shared with me their strategies, what they did to really build a community, build their readership. I followed those paths. And in 2014, my book, which is called The Millionaire Master Plan, which is around how do you take a business from startup to multi-million dollars in size, that did become a New York Times bestselling author. And while I am an author, I do see myself more as a CEO and as a founder of the business we're now growing. And I've been very lucky to surround ourselves, the entire leadership team, with some really strong advisors within our board. So, for example, we have someone called Patrick Grove, who in Singapore and in Malaysia is quite well known because he's taken 4 companies to public listing. He is also very well known for the companies he's been growing. The last one was actually acquired by Tencent just a few months ago. And so very much on the tech side. And then other examples like that, we have got, Anna Gong, who was actually brought out to Singapore by Eduardo Saverin, who was a co-founder of Facebook. And she runs one of the top AI companies out in Singapore right now and advises us on how we're developing AI for the education market right now as well. So that's just 2 examples of the type of people that have come on board. And they're very excited to see this growth of what we're doing now into the US as well.
Roger, what's the essential value proposition for students?
Yeah, I think first of all, with the students, one of the biggest elements when it comes to learning in general is that with most of academic education, well, first of all, it's very much about book knowledge, right? You're actually studying whatever the textbooks are to get you to a certain result or a certain, exam pass. And then there's an end to it, which means that at the end of high school, you're done, or at the end of university, you're done. In our case, it's very different. It's about practical, hands-on learning. So it's much more than just, okay, what are the steps that I need to take myself to the next level of my business, or even to just start creating an income. But it's also, who do I actually need to be around? So that's why we've built this social network where you can connect to all the same people that are going to be in your team or be your partners. And then there's also the aspect of the actual actions that come into what you do in terms of the results you get and how you can share that on with others as well. So we're very much into challenge-based learning, where whenever you're in one of our programs, rather than doing an exam at the end, there's always a competition, and you're always like seeing, well, who had the best pitch deck or who had the best results in their business, and everyone's learning from each other as a result of that, which I think is very important. And the second part, there's no end to it. We all know that as we grow older, there's even more that we know we didn't know. And so the ability to know that, you're always going to have that mentor group and that community and peer group that can support you as you get to the next level of your growth, I think is very, very important for all of us in what is very fast changing and uncertain times right now.
Well said. And Roger, what's the essential value proposition for investors?
So one of the most interesting things about the way that we've grown is that we are now a public company in Singapore. We have over 500 investors, they all began as our students. So in many cases, they started from startup and then they built $1 million exit. And then like, right, what do I actually want to invest in? And we've actually grown our business over time in such a way that we effectively have got our entrepreneurs not just co-learning and not just co-creating, they're actually co-investing as well in the growth of what we're doing. So I think right now, education is one of the most exciting areas, which clearly is ripe for disruption, where there's not a single parent that I know that doesn't believe that it's possible to get a better education for better value for money in a way that's more flexible and more relevant for their child or even for themselves than ever before. And when you have a market like that, you have the ability to be able to get great returns at the same time as actually really make a big difference in the world. And I think that we're going to see some amazing education companies in the next 10 years that are either going to be collaborating with the existing system or creating a brand new system. And it's those who actually are at the forefront of that who have a chance to say, not only, can you actually make an income or make a profit, you can also make an impact or make a purpose, really deliver something which is going to help the next generation as well.
What an inspiring story. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks very much. Great to be here, Dave.
So I hope you found that interesting and hopefully a bit inspiring. We have just finished $80 million of acquisitions on schools, colleges, universities, which we've brought all together in our entrepreneur curriculum, which actually gives us from 0 years old all the way up to 100 years old, the opportunity for anyone to go out there, create their job and create the life that they really want to live. And even though we've already got over 1 million students, we're really just at the very beginning of this journey. And if you've been thinking, look, this system has to change, well, the good news is you're not alone in looking for solutions. This is what Redchip Branson has to say about the education problem in his own words.
If you're not good at conventional work at school, you're made to feel stupid. What's stupid and what's not stupid? I mean, some people are good at conventional, mathematics, or conventional, good at sort of pigeon learning French, or and there are other people that are good at other things, and I believe I'm good at other things. I've only discovered that once I'd left school.
So Redchip Branson has dyslexia, and so many of the people that I meet that are amazing at leadership, business, entertainment, creative arts, they are so incredible at the things they do, but they're still labeled with some kind of learning difficulty because they didn't do well at school. You might have something yourself where you're wondering, what did I do wrong, or what was my disability? But as Elon Musk says, maybe it's not you that's disabled, maybe it is the system that's disabled. Here's what Elon Musk has to say about this, and he's actually saying it with Salman Khan, who set up Khan Academy, and that is the organization that Elon just gave $5 million to.
If you think like, what is education? Like, you're basically downloading data and algorithms into your brain. It's actually amazingly bad in conventional education, because like, it shouldn't be like this huge chore. Like, the more you can gamify the process of learning, the better. For my kids, I do not have to encourage them to play video games. Okay, I have to like pry them from their hands, like crack.
Yes.
It's like, drop that crack needle.
You have that problem at your house too. Yes,
exactly.
The crack is addictive.
And I think, unfortunately, like, a lot of education is very vaudevillian. You've got someone standing up there kind of lecturing at people, and they've done the same lecture 20 years in a row, and they're not very excited about it. And that lack of enthusiasm, is conveyed to the students. That they're not very excited about it. They don't know why they're there. Like, why are we learning this stuff? We don't even know why.
So what did Elon do about this? Well, what Elon always does, which is create his own solution.
Sure. So how would you educate your 5 boys?
Actually, I created a little school.
What kind of school? Could you describe to us?
Sure. It's small. It's only got 14 kids now, and it'll have 20 kids in September. It's called Ad Astra, which means to the stars. That's maybe a bit different from most other schools, is that there aren't any grades. There's no like, not grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 type of thing. Making all the children go in the same grade at the same time, like an assembly line.
I know.
Because some people love English or languages, some people love math, some people love music, and they have different abilities at different times. It makes more sense to cater the education to match their aptitudes and abilities. So I think that's one principle. Another is that it's important to teach problem solving, or teach to the problem, not to the tools. So this would be like, let's say you're trying to teach people about how engines work, or you could start by a more traditional approach would be to say, well, we're going to teach you all about screwdrivers and wrenches and and you're going to have a course on screwdrivers, a course on wrenches, and all these things. And this is a very difficult way to do it. A much better way would be like, here's the engine. Now let's take it apart. How are we going to take it apart? Oh, you need a screwdriver. That's what the screwdriver is for. You need a wrench. That's what the wrench is for. And then a very important thing happens, which is that the relevance of the tools becomes apparent.
So all your 5 boys are in that school?
Yes.
Until when? This is from
I don't know.
preschool
So far,
to...
it's only 1-year-old. But they like it.
They like it?
Yeah.
And you want to keep them away from regular schools?
No, I just didn't see that the regular schools they weren't doing the things that I thought should be done. Like, those 2 principles, they weren't adhering to those principles. So I thought, well, let's see what we can do. Maybe creating a school will be better. And I actually hired a teacher from the school they were at who also agreed with me that there was a better way to do it.
Have they surprised you in a way of their innovative thinking?
Yeah, it seems to be going pretty well. The kids really love going to school. I think that's a good sign. I hated going to school when I was a kid. It was torture. So the fact that they actually think vacations are too long, like they want to go back to school.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's weird.
I know.
I love how that interviewer had that little laugh at the beginning when he said, actually, I created my own school, until she was like, oh, he's actually serious. But that's really the point here. There's these big problems around the world and they're not going to solve themselves. So if you have kids yourself, or if you see yourself as a lifelong student, hopefully this has been some inspiration to you about the things that others are doing out there in the world to make that difference. I'm going to keep on working on finding those solutions myself with our team. And if you're wondering, where does the word genius group come from? It actually comes from that saying that everyone is born a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will go through its whole life believing that it is stupid. So look, I know there's huge challenges in the world today, and there's a whole bunch of reasons why we shouldn't be optimistic. But if you surround yourself with the people out there who are looking for those solutions, I really believe that this is now not just a time of great pain and at the same time of great challenge. It's also a time of huge opportunity and the ability to be able to deliver massive purpose. So what is it that is your big purpose? What is the thing that you are focused at, looking to commit to making a difference in? Because who knows, it might be someone in the comments below has a similar purpose that you can connect up with. Maybe it is education. Maybe it is about looking for an end to this jobs crisis or supporting those people really in need right now. Post your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. From the next video, we're going to get back into some of the current topics going on today, but I hope that you don't mind me giving this little indulgence into sharing a bit about what we do, what I really care about, and I really hope to be able to share more of this as we move through the year together. If you'd like to stay in touch and you haven't yet subscribed, please do subscribe. Please give this video a like if you've liked it, and I will see you on the next video. It will help you to live the life you love and love the life you live. The Genius Test is free, and it will set you free.